Hey everyone, so I wanted to do these reels for any of you who are entrepreneurs, coaches, have an online business, something that you're doing or you're contemplating changing, shifting, upgrading something in your life, and you want to level up. And so there is a gap between where you are and where you want to go. And with most people, until they start to really understand themselves, that gap seems to stay there for a very long time. We don't shift, we don't upgrade, we don't make really big steps, we make small steps, or we don't take action whatsoever. We find that we procrastinate for years and years and years. And then we get frustrated because we don't move. So if any of this resonates with you, where you know that you are putting something off, there's a reason why you're getting the income that you're getting, the success, the level of it that you have right now in your business, how many clients you're bringing in, or if you're someone who has been putting off starting a business, I want to bring some information to you that I believe will help you understand why you're doing this so that you can actually begin to move towards what it is that you want now and not wait another 6 months or another year. So these are for you. So I really believe one of the biggest hacks that have happened to humanity is to keep them very limited in the information and them to believe that that's all there is. And the information that has been hidden, that is the most important part, is about yourselves. It's about how you operate, how your mind works. What is your mind? What is your brain? What's consciousness? Why do you create synchronicities? Why do you have, certain ideas when you think of somebody and all of a sudden they call you? Like, there's some invisible things that take place, and it can confuse people because they're in a physical material world and they're told that's all there is. And then there's some really cool magical kind of things that take place in a different realm, but they affect this realm. And if you understood how to harness that, how to tap into it, and how to manage it, instead of letting it manage you, your whole entire reality would change. Your whole entire life would change, and you would grow in consciousness, which is the goal of the soul, and it's the goal of humans. Experiences create an expanded consciousness. So to be put into a box, to be limited so that we don't grow, so that we don't experience much, that keeps humanity in a very immature spiritual level, and they're not able to evolve or grow. They're spiritually stunted. They're not moving. And this is where all of us have to wake up to this information and start to be who we came here to be. Do what you want to do and don't procrastinate any longer. So where I want to start off with today is the fact that we know that we are habitual beings. We are told we're creatures of habit. So our mind, when you don't understand it, our perception, when you don't understand how that shapes your reality and how it can be manipulated to create a reality that's not even true. And then we believe it. And whatever you believe will be your reality. You create it every day, all the time, because you're focused on it. This is what most of humanity is doing without understanding that they're responsible for everything that they have. Every one of you have your own quantum computer, an elite model that is never can be copied, never could be, used by anyone else but you, and you have no clue how you're using it. And it's like having a car that is got all the bells and whistles on it, and you're still trying to roll up the windows, and you're trying to use the car in a way that a 1970 car would be. You don't have the tools or the awareness to understand what is literally at your fingertips. And when you do, that's when everyone shifts, right? That's where you see people making quantum leaps in their life. They have tapped into this understanding. It's always there and it's always available for you, but you can't tap into it. You can't unlock that door unless you have the key to it. And the key to unlocking any new information or to expand your consciousness to create what you want is through you growing and evolving and understanding the game. You have to start to play and play according to the way the universal laws were put in place. So, as creatures of habit, what we do is we do it over and over again. It becomes normal, it becomes familiar. And when you're in a timeline where everybody's getting the same information, then the output from all of the humans are going to be very similar, right? Most people are going to emit the same frequency. They're going to live similar lives. They're going to earn the same amount of income. They're going to have the same struggles. They're going to have all the problems. They're going to have so much to talk about. They have so much in common because they're all going through one simulation, which is only going to give them one outcome. So that's what's normal. That's all you know. And so if you don't think above that, you can't possibly know what is available for you because this is normal to you. You get up every day, you may not like what you have, you may want more, but you just know it's normal. No one else has more. And if they do, I don't know who they are. 1% have more. They must be special, not me. And you settle. So you need to understand the reason why you do not have more is based on what you have normalized, what you just do every day, what is part of your identity. It's part of your reality, and you've just made it normal and familiar to you. And that is what's keeping you exactly right where you are. Change is the way we were always meant to be, evolving, growing, and shifting and changing all the time. To live the same life like Groundhog Day every single day, not really experience anything major, just kind of going and living and existing. This is a planned simulation to keep that particular outcome. That is not natural, that is not organic, and that is not how an infinite divine being made in the image and likeness of our Creator is supposed to live a life. Like, that's like having all the power in the world and you're not even tapping into any of it. You're being immature little babies, not even using what is available to you because you have no idea what is available to you. So what you need to understand is you got to always shift what is normal. Always want more. And we're taught never to want more. We're actually shamed. We feel guilt because we're told that it's bad to want more. You should just be happy with what you have. A tree, a plant, an animal in the ocean, it doesn't have thoughts like, okay, am I expressing too much of myself? Am I supposed to only do these things and nothing else? They're led by instinct, which is their own navigating system, their own blueprint within themselves, and they're following it to a T, naturally, organically, and they're just expressing it. Now, with humans, the only difference between nature, everything in nature, and us is that we have the ability to think, which means we have the ability to navigate our own path and decide to change it if we want to and lead ourselves away from our blueprint, away from our purpose, and see what happens. And then we can navigate ourselves back in harmony with law, back in harmony with who you're meant to be, and then you'll see the evidence course correct itself. Animals, birds, trees, flowers, they follow this perfectly because they have no mind to sit there and discern, well, maybe I don't want to be a rose today. I want to be a daisy instead. It just goes with the flow and allows itself to be the best version of itself. This is what humanity has lost, their best versions of themselves. And they need to gain that back to increase their awareness, to become more abundant, to become more happier and healthier because they're so far off track. But this is where the awareness comes in and realize if I'm creating my reality and I don't want it to be like this anymore, then you have to understand that you have accepted and normalized what is allowed, what is true, what is available to you. But when you start to change the way you think and realize, I want more, and how to create more and where to create more, then you can create a brand new normal. You can create a brand new familiar. And this is what people do when you watch people go from mediocrity to wealth. When you see people heal themselves, it's all the same magic. It's all the same energy. They're just utilizing it towards whatever their goal is. And every one of you have your own goals in your mind of what you want to achieve in life. So perception is the trap if humanity doesn't understand how perception shapes your reality. And what is normal is what you're perceiving. So when you live in a world where all your family, all your friends, the people you work with, right? Everybody from generation after generation too, like your parents' generation, your grandparents' generation, you take a look at all of that, and they all basically live similar lives. They all work jobs. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're all working jobs. They're all making around the same amount of money. They don't really go too far off the path of what they are familiar with. And then, of course, all the friends, all the family, all the people you know, what you see on the news, what you see on TV, all of these things are purposely put there to tell you what is normal and what to accept as normal. When you watch a lot of sitcoms, when you watch a lot of movies, if you notice, there's a lot of movies and sitcoms that talk about how they can't pay their bills, they're struggling, they're getting fired. This is all done so you can bring this into your awareness and create it yourself. It's also to accept what's normal because you're seeing it everywhere. It's not only just in your own family, your own friends, your own work environment. It's in movies, it's in TV shows, it's on the news, it's everywhere. So how can it not possibly become normalized with you? It becomes habit because these are neural pathways in your brain that you've done over and over again through repetition. The paths are deep, and so you don't have to think about it anymore. You just are this person, you behave equal to that personality, and you just do it on autopilot every single day. And then once in a while you wake up during the day and you look around and you go, oh my God, like I don't want this anymore. I want more. I deserve more. I see other people having more and I want more. And then you fall back to sleep and you go back on autopilot while you drive home, you drive your kids to their intramural sports, you're cooking dinner, and you go back on autopilot. This is something you have to consciously decide to change. You can't hope that it's going to change by itself one day. This is something that only you can change, and you have to use your will. You got to decide, and you got to be willing to change it where it needs to be changed. And like I've shared with you, you can't change your reality in the reality. Just like Einstein said, you can't change reality with the mind that created it. So where do you change your mind? Where do you create differently? How do you change your environment if you're in an environment that you don't want anymore? You use your imagination. That becomes your new environment. That is your palette. That is where you start. That's where you begin all of what you want before it can manifest into form. And it's very interesting that as children, you are kicked out of your imagination. They don't teach you to stay in imagination. They don't ask you to be creative, because one of the biggest things that I'll only say briefly here is they want you to operate from your left brain only and shut off the right completely. No creativity. And the right brain is female, it's feminine. They want to shut that down. And they also don't want you to tap into your soul, your spirit, and the higher consciousness in multiple dimensions. Your right brain connects you to all of that. Your right brain is your key to freedom. And they've locked you into a left brain, linear, logical type of thinking and taught you this way as well. So this has become a habit of your thinking process, when really you're meant to bring two minds together and use both to create from the multidimensional self and create from the quantum field and bring in what you want, because you think in pictures. So every day when you create the world that you are, every thought is associated with a picture. You cannot have a thought without a picture. So to think that you're not using your imagination, you are, but you want to be able to constructively create what you want instead of by default creating probably what you don't want any longer. So this is where you have to decide, how do I change my environment? What do I want? And then go to work in your imagination. I said this universe is mental, which means you have to create mental images in your mind to change your physical reality. You don't go into the physical reality and try to change anything there. Now, all of your thoughts and the way that you think are all limited in the third dimension, in the material world. But when you tap into the right side of your brain, when you tap into the creativity that allows you to go into the quantum field and visualize using your imagination what it is that you would love to have, what it is that you would love to be, how do you want to see your life? This is a preview, right? This is a preview of what will be manifested for you if you keep your attention on it, when you do, if you believe it, and if you continually reinforce this new environment and not leave it and start to refocus on the environment of your physical reality, which seems so real to you right now. So this is where creating in your environment means you create the life that you want using your imagination. You see it, you can feel it, you can have all the feels that you do as a physical person in the manifested world in your imagination. But this has to become something that you consciously choose to create. So like I just said to you earlier, people have a lot of paradigms around imagination being just for kids. There's no awareness around the fact that imagination creates from the invisible into the physical, because you've never been told this information. So you may have a lot of a resistance around it. You may think this isn't true, but yet every single day you're using your imagination to create the same world that you have now. So the imagination's in the fourth dimension. So that means you're outside the third, but you're still connected here. You have to understand your body is here. Your mind can go anywhere it wants. So when you're creating this new idea, the reason why I believe everyone gets trapped in creating the same life like Groundhog Day is because A, you do not know that there's another environment. You think this is the only one you live in. And there is a place where you create like the cause. What you're creating now in your life, there is a place you're creating it first in first cause outside of this third dimension. You don't know this though until you're told it. So you're already doing the right things, but you're creating the things that you do not want because you're looking at what's normal to you. You're paying attention to your external world, and all of your feedback that you get from the external world is the information you're using, your thoughts are using to keep creating the same thing. So do you understand that if you're going to stay in this environment, you're going to have the same thoughts, which are equal to the same pictures, which means how can you change your environment here? So that's when you have to go into your imagination. You have to see the version of you having whatever it is that you desire. And you will know very quickly, if you take responsibility, the way that person rolls, how they hold themselves, the thoughts they think, the way they dress, what they do, what they don't do. You'll notice there's a gap between that human and you. And this is how you close the gap. But the first step is first creating a new version of you, a new version of you having what you desire, and creating a new familiar, because that's what becomes your reality. One of the things you'll notice if you stick to this, if you consciously want to change your life, your income, you want to grow your business, you want to, change your health, you visualize you healthy. Like, this is how simple these things are. But where we get pulled back is because it's not normal for us to understand this yet. It's not normal for us to actually apply this to our life because we've never been told this. What's normal for us to apply to our life is looking at the environment and reacting to it, and keeping our thoughts at the same level of what we're seeing and what we're getting as feedback through our physical senses every single moment of every single day, because that's all we once knew. But now you can escape this. This is why they didn't want you to know any new information, because you can change your frequency. You can change what your environment looks like by first creating a new one. And the new one always starts in your imagination. You cannot create anything without the use of your imagination. Now, what will happen if you stick to this is you'll start to get some guidance. You'll start to have some coincidences show up. You might have some synchronicities show up. You have to pay attention. You got to become more awake than asleep. You got to be a conscious creator, not an unconscious one, because you've been an unconscious creator probably up until now. So you want to be able to be conscious and aware, self-aware of what is going on in the environment. What are you focusing on? Because if you study or you interview or you talk to people who are very wealthy, they will tell you that they guard their thoughts very carefully. They are consciously aware of their thoughts more than they ever have in their whole life. They've made it a way of being. It's a lifestyle. They really keep their thoughts in check. So you have a lot of thoughts during the day, and your feelings will reflect what you're thinking. So if you feel stressed, you're in the wrong place. So it is a mastery of your mind. It's a mental game. You start mentally in the mental aspect of yourself, which is your imagination, the pictures, your thoughts, and this is what downsteps into your reality as your experiences. So what you want to understand is that you create your life from an environment. So now choose a different environment to create new, which is your imagination, and start to really have fun with what your life would look like now if you had what you desired. The external world should be the last to know what you're creating. Now you can help this along by changing up things within your own self, because you want to change who you are. It doesn't matter. I remember when I worked with Bob Proctor, he would have us, if we were right-handed, he would have us write things out with our left hand. If you were left-handed, he would have you write it out with your right hand. Other ideas would be take a different route to work. You want to start creating new neural pathways in your brain that identifies that you are not the same person you were all this time, that you're creating someone new. And that new person, even such small things like the way you drive to work right now, or the way you get up in the morning, maybe shift up your routine a bit. You have to shift something up to create something new, even if it's small. So change something up. Don't brush your teeth first thing in the morning. Don't make your bed first thing. Maybe go and get your tea first. Maybe go check and wake up your kids and then come back. It's going to feel unfamiliar and it's going to piss you off because you like your routine. You like doing things this way because it works. Well, it works, and it's giving you exactly what you have in your life. Now, I shared you will start to get some guidance. You start to get a really strong intuition. It's going to suggest certain things for you to do. You have to be more than open and quite aware that anything that you're going to get right now is coming from your higher self. So the ideas, the actions, the books they might get to you to go read, the coach they might want you to learn from, it's going to be something that's unfamiliar to you. Now, this is what we're doing. It's working. You're going to be guided to become the person that you don't know yet, who already has what you desire, and make that your new normal. But it cannot be your new normal until you start to take on that identity. And here's the thing, you don't have to do the work. Spirit, the universe, the infinite intelligence, the quantum field, that flow of powerful energy that permeates all things is directing you through your intuition, through the synchronicities, through the coincidences. And you need to be awake, and you also need to be willing to take those steps towards that version of you. And each time you do that, you collapse time. Each time you do that, you're becoming more prepared to be on the level, beyond the frequency of where you are with what you want already now. So you have to do the work, but 98% of it's mental. It's the vision, it's the visualization, it's the seeing and feeling what it's like to have it now. And stop looking at the external world for any evidence. Don't overlook this as if it's something so small to ignore, because changing who you are starts at the basics. What do you do the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed? And you start to make these subtle changes, because if you do not change who you are right now, you will never change something in the outer world. It will not happen, because it's all to do with your frequency. Who are you being is your frequency. So start to just shift these small little things. Start to bring in stuff that doesn't feel familiar to you. It feels a little, oh, I don't want to do this. Well, enjoy the process, because at the end of the day, knowing this, you're going to get what you want. So why don't enjoy the transformation from the caterpillar into the butterfly? If there's anything you want differently, you go in with yourself and say, okay, what do I need to shift? So if you're not sure, you start to look at people who have whatever it is you want and see the difference in their way of being, their behavior, their attitude. How do they talk? How do they dress? Little things like that, and start to write them down. And then choose a couple of them. Don't go overwhelm unless you are that type of person that goes all in. And just take small little things and start to shift yourself. It's going to feel strange, but no, if it feels strange, you're moving in the right direction. If you keep feeling normal and everything seems familiar, you're not growing, so you're going to keep being the same and having the same results in your business. Another great way to start to imagine things in your imagination is think of someone that has the lifestyle or has the business or has the partner, whatever it is you desire that you have now. Take a look at how they behave. Study them. You don't want to be them, but you want to know, like, are they more patient? Are they more loving? Are they more authentic? How do they show up in the world? How do people who have the $1 million business, how do they show up compared to who you're being right now and how you show up? You know there's a big difference, but that's not a bad thing. Pick a couple traits, certain things that you can start to shift now, that you know you need to become that person who is worthy energetically to have what you desire. This is an energetic game. I told you guys, this isn't about who's good, who's bad, how much work you've done, how hard you are, whether you're a girl or a boy, whether you're an adult or a kid, it don't matter. It's like electricity. Electricity is not judgmental. Okay? It just is. So you need to understand that whatever you're asking for is your frequency, and whoever you're being is what you're asking for. Now, one last thing. I know I've had people talk to me in my programs about, okay, Kimberly, but I'm in my environment most of the time, but you're telling me I got to stay out of the environment so I can create in my imagination. And how am I supposed to do that if I'm in my environment? Like, so much thinking is going into this. So what I want you guys to understand is you take time in the beginning to go into your imagination. You quiet the senses. You have to purposely do this. You have to guide yourself and decide to do this. Consciously make this choice. And then you start to quiet your mind and do it and envision whatever it is that you desire of already being that now. Start to familiarize with that. And then eventually what will happen, the more you do that, you're creating new pathways in your mind. It's going to become easier. So when you are driving your kids to school, or you're going to work, or you're on the way to the gym, or you're cooking, you will start to become more aware and start to go in your imagination while you're doing that, because you can cook on autopilot. You can do it without even thinking, most likely. You can drive your kids to school on autopilot. You don't need to really focus. You get there sometimes, you're like, I don't remember driving here. So you want to consciously put your mind in your imagination as much as you can on what it is you desire. And the more you do it, the more effortless it becomes, until eventually you're constantly doing that until it's actually your reality. And it'll happen, it'll blend seamlessly, so easy, where it won't be something that you're going to say, oh my God, it's here. You're already creating it, you're already living in it. It's almost like you just woke up on that timeline and you're here. And it's your new normal.